Welcome to the 5-Star Retirement Show with Patrick Mueller, best-selling co-author of Dare to Succeed and president of Bella Advisors. Today, he'll be sharing his 5-star retirement formula, including lifetime income planning, investment planning, tax planning, healthcare planning, and legacy planning. Here's Chris Monroe and Patrick Mueller.
Welcome one, welcome all to 5-Star Retirement, the show that is dedicated to helping you live your absolute best retirement with all 5 stars, which we'll talk about. I'm Chris Monroe. Glad you're joining us alongside Patrick Mueller, our fantastic coach and mentor, financial guru from Bella Advisors right here in Roswell, Georgia. Welcome back, sir. Good to be with you.
Thank you. Yeah, you're making me feel so good. Making me feel so good over
Well, that's
here.
my job. That's why they pay me the big bucks, is to make you look good.
Yeah.
And then you are going to make...
and you always look good, man. You always look good. People on the listening on the radio, but don't know. They check out the videos online. Yeah.
Yeah, they think guys with voices like me.
He's single ladies.
Yeah, well, I am, as a matter of fact. We'll get into that a little bit later on. I'll give a little secret profile maybe or something like that. Yeah, right? So, a lot of people say, I just don't want to work anymore. I want to bang on the drum all day. I'm ready to retire.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. And sometimes, especially if you're burned out in a job, you can make that call prematurely, But let's talk about seven reasons why, you want to make sure that it's the right time to retire. Not just because you're tired of getting up or fighting Atlanta traffic every day, which, I get it. I mean, those are good reasons. But thinking about your overall financial picture and hitting those 5 stars that we'll talk about later on in the show, but making sure that you are ready. So, retiring from a career is generally a one-time event. It's a big decision. There's not only financial implications, but there's emotional implications too. To think about, I've gone to work for 40, 50 years, and all of a sudden I'm not.
And then nothing. Yeah.
And then zero.
Yeah, I had this guy, actually, he retired last year, and he's probably in his early 70s. And, it was basically his life. He loved what he did. He worked for a huge company his whole career, and then he retired. And I will tell you, he didn't really have any hobbies to get into afterwards, and he has aged so much. I won't tell him this, right? But I just see him age so much because it's one of those things. What do you call it? You don't keep the engine running; it kind of rusts out, kind of thing.
Yeah, wear out, don't rust out.
Yeah,
and yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. But so you got to make sure you want to make sure you're at least keeping your mind active and you're keeping things active or getting into something. You don't just want to kind of be sitting at home and not going anywhere or doing anything.
So part of that plan is not only just saying, okay, I want to retire, but what is next? And the financial part is what drives that engine. But, most people today are living much longer now with medicine and just, we're just living longer, just life expectancy. So 65 for a lot of people is not old anymore.
It's not. When Social Security first started, people weren't even living. The life expectancy wasn't even to 65. It was like in the early 60s at that point, back when Social Security started. So, yeah, you're right. People are living longer than ever, and that's one of the things why Social Security's got so many problems right now is because, we didn't think life expectancy would grow 30 years, basically, over that.
We really did.
People are living 30 years longer. But there's another word, Chris, for retirement, and it's called unemployment. You got to realize this.
Well, it's true. Yeah,
you're unemployed for the next 25, 30-plus years. I mean, how do you make that work?
Well, and that segues into number 2, of making sure that it's the right time. You are giving up probably the highest salary that you've ever had in your life at this point. Let's say you're in your early 60s. What happens if you're in retirement and you want to come back? Whether you want to come back full-time or part-time or as a consultant, there's no guarantee that you'll be able to match those earnings.
Yeah, and that's another thing, right? So, sometimes people are just kind of so sick and tired of, wherever it is that they're working, they're kind of done with it, whether it's what they do or their coworkers or their boss or whatever it might be. And so I see a lot of that. I see a lot of people switching gears, and maybe they'll start their own company or go do something part-time. But, yeah, there's probably going to be a reduction of income at that point because I see a lot of people that, try to switch gears. And, like, for an example, I've got, one of my clients that's been in the IT world for a long time, and a lot of things have changed in that world. So what he's used to making, I mean, they can hire 3 people to do what he's been doing. So he's not going to be making, near the money that he was used to making.
Boy, that's a whole nother. We could probably spend a whole 2 hours on stagnation of wages.
And stuff going out of the country. A lot of jobs going out of the country. Like I know my sister works for AT&T, and a lot of her jobs are getting shopped out over to India and places like that.
Right? My dad, I went through some stuff and found some old tax returns of his. He was making $80,000 in 1981. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, he was a baller back then.
That was a lot of money. He was in sales, and today that's it's okay. It depends on what city you're in too.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, God bless her, is just moving to Washington, D.C. for some unforeseen reason. It is a great city, but her little 600 square foot apartment is going to be close to $3,000 a month. So start doing the math on that. It's unbelievable. Using and I would think too, getting ready, kind of a ramp up period, a ramp down, however you want to look at it, is saying, all right, so maybe I'm 62, 63, I want to retire, I'm sick. Get with Patrick and, develop a plan on what your exit strategy is. Use those final years to maximize income, maximize savings.
Yeah.
Would make sense.
And it's so important that you're working with somebody, some kind of financial ally, and you want to make sure you're working with somebody that specializes in retirement, and this is all they do. You want to make sure you're not working with somebody that's just trying to put a square peg into a round hole, but it's not what they really do. So make sure, and that's why we created this 5-star retirement plan, to make sure that you've got all 5 stars for your retirement plan. And so for the folks that are listening, come on in and schedule a time to come in for a visit. And we'll sit down and we'll do an analysis and stress test on what's currently going on in your retirement plan. And can you retire when you want to? What's the current path you're on right now? And how many stars do you currently have in place for your retirement plan? Do you got a 1-star plan right now? Is it 2 stars? Well, we're going to help you figure that out. We do this for you free of charge. Just give us a call, 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. We're going to help give you clarity on what's going on with your current situation, and so you can have that peace of mind going into the future. You just got to give us a call.
You do not want your retirement situation to look like a bad Yelp review. And if it does, Patrick is going to be the guy to help fix that for you.
That's right.
Make sure that you're number 3, by the way, in our list of 7 here, is make sure that you're reaching benefit thresholds. Don't retire early. Don't take money early. That you don't have to. That's another thing that you have to consider. When you're going to become unemployed or retired. Is meeting those thresholds.
That's right. So, one of those thresholds is your full retirement age for Social Security, which is 66 or 67, depending on when you were born. So it could be like 66 in a few months. But that's one of those thresholds where now you've reached full retirement age and you'll get those full benefits. And then if you take it earlier than that, then they'll penalize you on how much if you make additional income. So if you make over $17,000 a year and you take it early, like at 62, and then you think you're going to still keep working and just pocket that additional money, it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So they penalize you on taking those benefits early.
Sure. We've talked about this in some previous shows too, but be sure that you have enough money. And that's number 4. And I know maybe that sounds kind of, but do you have enough money to retire on? I mean, is your Social Security, let's say that you want to retire early and you want to take it before your retirement age. Is that going to be enough to meet your obligations, your lifestyle? What kind of debt load do you have? And those are things that, I would imagine that some people just get so fed up, they just say, I'm just going to retire without any plan.
Without any plan. And one of the biggest things you got to realize is what is your lifestyle, right? Which is going to be totally dependent on how much money you need to have for retirement. What's your cash flow going to look like? So we help figure this out. And the easiest way to figure out what your lifestyle is currently is on your bank account. Most people have 1 or 2 bank accounts or checking accounts that all the bills get paid out of each month. And the banks are really nice, and they give you this little ledger that totals up everything that happened during the whole month. Here's the beginning balance of how much money you had in your account at the beginning of the month, the total deposits that came in, the total withdrawals that came out, and then the ending balance, how much money is left over at the end of the month. The only number you want to look at is the total withdrawal number of the money that came out. Total that up over the last 12 months, and that is your lifestyle. Like whatever that amount is.
And if you add up the Starbucks lattes, I'm telling you,
they add up.
You're going to not do that anymore, because then I use Quicken, and I have since the early days.
So it categorizes all that for you?
It does. I categorize it, and being a bachelor for as many years as I have, I one time I ran a report on how much delivery I had ordered over the years, and it was enough to make me cry.
Yeah, mine has become Uber Eats.
And it's so expensive.
Oh man, it's ridiculous. So I started using that Freshly thing. Have you seen that?
I have, yeah.
Man,
you like that? It's better.
It's been all right. I've got. It's been a lot better than the bill I was using for Uber Eats.
Oh,
you know, so it's like $50 for I don't know,
and the
like
order's wrong,
6 meals or something like that.
Yeah,
and
it's a
versus yesterday, I had two meals from Uber Eats, and I think I spent like $50 yesterday alone. Just being lazy on a Sunday.
It's easy to do. No, I get it. I'm the king of that. So real quick before we take a break, complete a meaningful project at work. A lot of times, if you're still in the, see if there's something else that you can really focus on for the last couple of years to help break through that gridlock in your mind or that burnout. Refine specific retirement plans and qualify for part-time flexibility. So those are 5, 6, and 7, things that you can consider before you pull the trigger on retirement.
Yeah, so we can help you figure all these different things out and making sure that you've got a 5-star retirement plan. But it all comes down to taking action. Nothing good in life happens until we actually take action on something. And typically this is something that people put off because they think that it's going to be boring, just like I put off having my physical for the longest time. And, but it's something that you got to do. But it's so much peace of mind, when you come out of that and you know that everything's ticking the way that it should be. And that's what we want to make sure is that you've got that peace of mind and you're not being like an ostrich. But you just got to take the action. Give us a call here, 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. We're going to do a free analysis for you to see where your 5-star retirement plan is looking like right now. Is it a 1-star plan? And what's the work we need to do to get it up to a 5-star? And give us a call, 770-545-8881.
All right, and coming back in the next segment, we will outline those 5 stars. What does that mean, and why are each of those stars important? Stay with us here on 5-Star Retirement. Welcome back to 5-Star Retirement. I'm Chris Monroe, Patrick Mueller of Beller Advisors. I'm from the South, Bella Advisors, alongside us as always. And Patrick, one of the things that I love that you talk about, and is the name of the show and the basis of what you do, is that 5-star. It's easy. I can understand it. I can visualize it. So for those who may have just joined us for the first time, I want to just quickly outline what those 5 stars are.
I think that's great. So the 5-star retirement plan, there are 5 areas to retirement planning. And so we want to have a star, just like, if you're going to a 5-star restaurant or a 5-star hotel, there's a meaning behind each one of those different stars. And so those 5 stars are, the first one is income planning. So the first thing we got to take a look at is how are you going to replace your paycheck when you retire? And most people don't have a plan for that. They just kind of have a plan that, we've accumulated this big pile of money and we're just going to reach in and take money out whenever we need it. And we want to make sure that we have a structured income plan first and foremost. And then after that, we've got investments. How are the investments designed to help you accomplish that? How much risk are you taking? How much volatility is there? How much are you paying in fees? We want to understand that stuff. And then how is it designed to replace your paycheck? And then you got taxes. Are there ways that we can make things more tax efficient now or at some point in the future? Do you have some tax problems that you need to be paying attention to, especially if you got big IRAs and big 401k accounts? You got a huge tax issue. And then you've got healthcare planning. So we can, health insurance, if you're before 65, if you're retiring before then, when you hit 65, the best stuff you need to have. The big costs that can come with healthcare is when it comes to home healthcare, assisted living, nursing home care. It's insane how much it costs to go into a nursing home. It's like $8,000 a month around Atlanta, and it's skyrocketing. And then legacy planning, just making sure everything's titled properly. If you have legacy aspirations of what you want to leave to your family, then how do you construct that? So we want to make sure we got a star in each one of those different areas, because if you don't, that could cause you big problems in the future.
A lot to think about, and Dr. Google is probably not your best way to go to manage your life's wealth.
That's right.
And Patrick, who's obviously an expert of this. How long you been at this?
Over 23 years.
Okay, so he's got over 2 decades. He follows this. He lives and eats.
I look so good, man.
Right, you're just a baby.
I don't look like just a baby.
You do look good.
It's a baby. Yeah. So a lot of our families that we work with, they'll say that. They'll be like,
"There's no way
you're such a baby."
But you
use that same accent you used at the beginning.
Right. Exactly. You're such a baby.
You're such a baby.
You got to have that Southern thing going on there. So there's seemingly no end to, the thousands of baby boomers that are turning 65 every day. I mean, there's no doubt that that's the biggest group that's going into the retirement, the retirement every day.
Mm-hmm.
Some may already be retired, many more about to join maybe in the next year or two. So Social Security, and just upcoming in 2020, some things that may change here. And these are 6 things. Dipping into the Social Security Trust Fund. We hear this all the time, but without some major action from Congress, the current excess trust fund revenue will be depleted by the year 2034, which sounds like a long time, but it's not.
And not only just Social Security, but something that just happened with Medicare that people don't realize is that we lost one of the Social Security filings. You used to be able to, as if you got a couple, one person files when they're full retirement age, files on their Social Security benefits, and then you could suspend it. And when you do that, it allowed the spouse to be able to file on half of your Social Security benefits, and then the other person could delay theirs until age 70 and get a much higher amount. And they did away with that strategy a couple of years ago, and they took the money that they were saving from that so that they could fund Medicare. Because the trust fund for Medicare is going to be gone, in a few years.
It's
right?
a shell game and a Ponzi scheme, isn't it?
It's the craziest thing. And nobody's talking about it. Right. That's the craziest thing is nobody's talking about the real problems that are out there because Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid equates for 75% of the total U.S. budget. So
wait a second. Those 3 things equate for
those 3 things,
3/4 of our $4.5 trillion budget.
That's right.
Wow.
Yep. And so what Congress is fighting over is that other 20. So everything else that the government does, right? Military, everything else that the government does, education, everything is in that other 25%, what Congress is fighting over every single year. And, the debt ceilings and all that crazy stuff that they're doing. Yeah. And kicking the can down the road. And it's insane. So nobody's fixing the real problems that are going on because these politicians want to keep getting reelected.
Well, they do, and it's all about, and nobody really understands this stuff. Mm-hmm. And whatever side you're on, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, if the bucket has a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, and it all drains away, they ain't going to be there. So,
So exactly. Yeah. So when, because all they're doing is putting Band-Aids on stuff. So the stuff that we talk about every single week is so important to understand what's going on and how much risk you're taking. And especially when it comes, the 2 big things, risk and taxes. You got all your money in the markets. It's just a matter of time before something happens in the markets that's completely out of your control that's going to cause it to go down.
You kind of feel it. I don't know. I'm like,
yeah. There's so much crazy stuff that's going on. You have negative interest rates going on around the world.
Right.
You have all these central banks manipulating what's happening around the world. And you got to pay attention to this stuff because if you're getting close to retirement, you're in retirement, you don't want to be losing half your life savings at this point because somebody farts in China. You know what I mean?
Let's be honest, that can really happen. Full retirement age has increased, and a lot of folks may not realize what that is. So if you were born in 1960 or later, full retirement age is now 67.
Yep.
And that's up from, I guess, 65 at some point was probably, and so it keeps creeping up.
Yeah, and then they keep pushing it back, and they probably will keep pushing it back. I would bet in the future.
Cost of living adjustment. Low inflation is a good thing for consumers as it means prices aren't going up. On the other hand, lower inflation numbers can mean small cost of living increases for Social Security. And my dad has said it's just a pittance every year. It hasn't really been adjusted. So
it hasn't. Yeah, because what happens is you've got this thing called the Consumer Price Index.
It's one of these things that makes most people's eyes glaze over. Right.
It's so exciting.
But it's another price index today.
It's another one of those things, those awesome things that the government does,
right?
Where they start manipulating what the real rate of inflation is. So they pull a lot of things out. They pull out consumables, energy cost, healthcare. So they're not including any of those things and what they are. The rate of inflation, what they're saying it is.
For 2020, it said the Social Security cost of living adjustment is expected to be around 1.8%.
Yeah.
That's on $1,500 a month.
I don't know about you, but I'm seeing everything else going up.
It's funny.
I go to the grocery store and it seems like I would fill up the whole back of my truck for $100, and now I go and it's like 2 bags.
What I love is when you rent an apartment, which I do. They want to increase your rent 50 or $100 every year, but guess what? My income doesn't go up 50 or $100 a month every year. And for a lot of people, it hasn't gone up in a long time. So, let's tell people real quick how to get in touch with you, Patrick, at Bella Advisors to schedule a time to, start talking about these changes that are going to affect them in retirement.
Yeah, easiest way to get a hold of us is just to pick up the phone and give us a call, 770-545-8881, and schedule your time to come in for a visit. We're just a little bit away from you in Roswell, and just schedule a time to come in and meet with us. Again, the number is 770-545-8881, and we'll answer all your questions, do a free analysis for you, and so that way you got clarity on what's going on with your current retirement plan.
It looks like this might be some good news here. Maximum Social Security benefits will increase for workers near the top of the Social Security income rate of $132,900 or more for 2019. Your maximum Social Security payout will increase slightly in 2020. No individual at full retirement age can take home more than $2,861 per month, regardless of their pre-retirement income. So $2,861 is the very top. What is this? Oprah won't get more at full retirement than you. Oh, okay. I guess that was just an example. So
yeah,
the maximum monthly benefit is $3,776 a month. If you wait until 70, well, that doesn't make any sense. Wait until 70 can increase your Social Security benefit by 32. Oh, I see. Between 66 and that's what we talk about all the time is delaying taking Social Security and what that can mean for your benefit. So it's going up a little bit, it sounds like.
Yeah, so each year from your full retirement age, each year that you defer it, you get an 8% increase on that lifetime income, which if you're expecting a long lifetime, I mean, that could totally work out in your favor. But if you're retiring before age 70 and you're having to pull from your own assets, then maybe that doesn't make so much sense.
Right. And
so that's why we got to look at everybody's individual situation because
coming in and sitting down
complex
with Patrick and making sure that, what's the best thing for you.
Yeah.
Number 5, more of your Social Security will be taxed. I knew the good news would be short-lived.
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, we need to get like a little sound thing.
We need a little sad trombone here.
Yeah.
So apparently the amount is hit with taxes will depend on your household income. Just 50% of your benefits will be taxed if your income is between $25,000 and $34,000 as an individual, and it goes up to 32 to 44 for a married couple. Another example of the marriage penalty.
Yes. So yeah, when you reach those income thresholds, the government has, the IRS, they've got a formula they use called a provisional income formula. I won't get into it because it gets too complex over the radio. But basically, once you're married and you're over 34 grand a year,
right,
then they start taxing 50% of your Social Security benefits and counting it as income. And then if you're over 44,000, then they start taxing 85% of your Social Security benefits as income. But then not only do they tax it, but they tax you on the last and the bracket and the last dollar that you made in your marginal tax bracket. So if you just crossed over from the 12% tax bracket to the 22% tax bracket, then they start taxing your Social Security benefits at 22%.
The sneaky government is always out to get your money, folks.
Yep.
And Patrick he's there all the time with a flash water going, nope, get your fingers out of the pot. Nope, that's what you do.
That's right. We want to make sure that you're not making these mistakes. And so it's kind of like I took my daughters to kind of, what this kind of equates to retirement planning, but I took her whitewater rafting down the Ocoee River. If you remember, we had the Olympics back here in 1996. So we were going down the Olympic section.
Wait, hold that thought. We got to wrap up this segment, so we're down to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So
we
will do that in the next segment, and a reason for you to stick around if you already didn't have a bunch. Stay with us here on 5-Star Retirement. And welcome back to 5-Star Retirement. Chris Monroe and Patrick Mueller of Bella Advisors. And just before we ended the last segment, you were about to tell us a fantastic story that involved whitewater rafting and the Olympics and something. So let's right. I know people have stayed with us because they want to hear the story.
Yeah. So here's what happened. I decided to take my daughter. We went whitewater rafting down the Ocoee River, and we had the Olympics back here in 1996. And so we were about to go down the Olympic section of the Ocoee River. And, when things are slow and, when you're going down the river, just keep paddling and you're going to get to your destination. But when you start going through these class 3, class 4 rapids, it starts getting pretty intense and you start freaking out a little bit. But they have this thing called a guide, right, that is on the back of your raft. And you're so glad that they're there when you're going through it,
right,
because they're telling you exactly what to do. And this guy's got a huge smile on his face. He's cool as a cucumber. He's cracking jokes. He's telling everybody what to do. He's like, you guys on the paddle, you guys paddle on the left-hand side. The people on the right, we want you back paddling. He's got, all this different stuff, and we're all freaking out a little bit.
Right, y'all are just, yeah.
But he's cool as a cucumber, and that's exactly what you want. And it relates to retirement planning because you want to have that person that's been through it 1,000 times and is cool as a cucumber and understands the big rocks to watch out for and the different paths that you want to be going.
I love analogies, and this picture is so good because I can see these class 4 rapids and the rockiness and all this, and the white water foam coming up and everything. And there's Patrick on the back of this retirement raft, and he's like, Patrick, I can't. That's all right, man. It's all right. I got you.
That's right.
I didn't mean to make you into Bill Clinton.
That was almost like a Bill Clinton for us.
I got you. All right. So now what a great analogy though. And it can be scary. I mean, whether
it is scary for a lot of folks. I mean, a lot of people are freaking out about their retirement and, do we have enough money? I mean, markets are all time highs. Are we going to be okay? I mean, there's a lot of different things that are going on out there that people are freaking out about, but that's the whole point of this whole process is when you have an actual plan, and that's what you got to have. You want to have, that's why we call it the 5-star retirement plan, because we've got a plan. We've thought through all of the things that we need to be thinking through to where if any of these occurrences happen, you're going to be okay because we have a plan for it. But if you don't have a plan, you're just kind of going down the river in like a Huck Finn raft, right? And you don't have a guide,
Right.
Yeah, good. Yeah, that's good luck.
Right.
That was a good picture, right?
It was.
Yeah.
It was. I love that analogy. We'll have to actually use that in future shows. Hands in the cookie jar, fingers in the pie. There's always people that are out to get a portion of your savings. There is no free lunch and all of that stuff. I have a mutual fund that's 0%. Well, I'm not paying anything. So I have a huge list here of penalties that and fees and stuff we can talk about that people need to be aware of. And let's just go down this. Annuity fees.
Oh, yeah. So the annuity fees, they mainly come with variable annuities. They're all 10 different types of annuities, and people kind of lump them all together. But the annuities that people really want to pay attention to is if you got a variable annuity, there can be a lot of fees. So I had this one gentleman that came in, and he had about $600,000 in a variable annuity, and he was wondering why it wasn't growing. He'd had it about 8 years, and I said, well, what are you paying in fees? And he goes, well, they charge me $40, but because I have such a high account balance, they waive it. And there's this little game that I like to play, Chris. It's called Let's Call the Insurance Company. So we called the insurance company, we put them on the speakerphone, and you just have to know the right questions to ask.
Right.
So it turned out that he was paying a minimum of 5% in fees. So he was paying $30,000 a year just to have his money sitting there.
So it was growing, but the growth was going right back into their pockets.
That's right. That's right. It goes up. It goes up 5%, and he goes up 0. All goes to the insurance company's pockets.
I mean, that's crazy. So you may not even know about these fees.
You don't know about it. You definitely don't. You'd be the first person who walked into my office that understood the way that those things really work and what you're paying in fees. And that's why it's so important to understand all these different accounts and what's going on, because we have ways that we can figure out how much you're really paying in fees, because they give you that big, thick prospectus. It's 300 pages long. And they do disclose all that stuff that's in there, but they don't have to call it a fee, and they make it as complicated as possible to try to figure it out.
I always sit that on my desk at home in my office, and I say, I'm going to get to this one day. Yeah, it always just collects dust over there. And I think that's probably par for the course, I would imagine, with most people.
Yeah.
Advisory fees in non-fiduciary managed accounts.
Oh, man. That was a lot of stuff right there.
Right?
Yeah, repeat that
so
one again.
So if you have investments with an advisor who operates as a fiduciary, some of the fees you pay may not be easy to spot. So non-fiduciary managed accounts, advisory fees. So everybody, as you go through the different layers, everybody siphons off their little bit.
That's right. So there's different, So who you're working with as a financial advisor makes a big difference on the licenses that they have and how they can get away. So you got certain things that are called a suitability standard. So whether it be like, Fidelity or Charles Schwab or Morgan Stanley or Raymond James or any of those big companies, they're brokerage firms, and they make their money, by having your money invested. And if they're buying and selling, they can make money that way, and they don't have to disclose all of those fees. So that's why they give you all those prospectuses and things like that. So there's a lot of hidden fees inside of those things. If you're with a fiduciary advisor, like we're fiduciaries, we got to disclose those things. So it's on every single statement on exactly what's happening. And then also there can be some tax write-offs if you're dealing with a fiduciary, that it's a, anyways, I'm at a loss for what the actual term is for it, but you can totally write that off on your taxes when you actually have a real advisor versus if you're basically dealing with a broker based on the licenses that somebody has.
Gotcha.
But yeah, you could be paying way more in fees than you really think that you're paying.
Which leads us to, you said they want to make money by having your money, brokerage account inactivity fees.
Yeah. So, they create fees for just about everything.
So I'm sure it's like if you haven't used your brokerage account or you just want to put it in there, or let's say you have a retirement account that has a brokerage account, right? Yeah. Then they charge you on that.
That's right. So they're going to make their money, right? And one way or another, they figure out a way that they're going to be making their money. So one of the things you just got to make sure you're getting clarity on is I don't care what institution you're with or 401ks or whoever it is, there's a reason why they're in business and they're making their money from somewhere. And a lot of times you just don't realize where they're making it. So that's what we really try to help folks with is we have the ability to do an analysis and we can figure out how many hands are in the cookie jar. So we can do an analysis and so we can understand how much your relationships are really costing you. So if you want to know, like you were the guy I was just talking about that, $30,000 is being taken out of accounts each year and he doesn't even realize it. I mean, you want to understand, if it were me, I'd like to know how much money somebody's taking out of my accounts every single month.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people just out of sight, out of mind. How do folks get in touch with you to have that checkup on their portfolio?
Yeah, if you want to do that fee analysis, we'll be more than happy to do that as part of our 5-star retirement plan where we got to understand how much money is coming out of your investments, how much your relationship costing you. So give us a call here, 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. And we will do that fee analysis for you. Well, you'll understand how much these financial institutions are pulling out of your accounts each year. And is that worth it?
And then there's, of course, and we've talked about this in other segments and other shows, penalties for not taking the RMD or required minimum distribution is 50%.
50%. Yeah. Highest in the IRS tax code. They penalize you 50%. And not only do they, is it 50% of what you should have taken out, but they also, you still have to pay your income taxes on that money.
That's unbelievable. Mutual fund expense ratios, probably one of the most misunderstood things, and we've talked about this in other shows, and you opened my eyes a lot about it, because you think when you see the expense ratio, it's 0.25% or 1.1% or whatever it is, that's all there is. But apparently there's a whole bunch of layers of that onion that's buried down in there somewhere.
So there can be up to 17 different layers of onion inside of that.
That's a lot of onion right there.
Inside, and it's definitely an onion. It's not like, I don't know if you've ever seen Shrek, where he's like, how about a parfait? A parfait sounds, parfaits have layers. I've seen that. I have a daughter, so I've seen that movie way too many times.
That's a great movie.
But no, definitely a mutual fund's like an onion, right? So there's a lot of layers. So the expense ratio can be like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to fees. There can be up to 17 different fees.
There's the tip of and there's the iceberg underneath the water.
And luckily, we have the ability to do an analysis on that to find out how much you're really paying in fees. And Forbes magazine, they did a study on this where the average mutual fund cost that's out there is 3.73%. 3.73%. So if somebody's got $1 million portfolio, right? That's $37,000 a year that you're paying just in fees. I mean, you could be buying a lot of Uber Eats, right? And
ordering a lot of Chinese.
A lot of lattes.
That's right.
That can go a long way. So if you want to understand, that's why you want to get in touch with us and find out how much you're really paying in fees in these things. Because it's like, think about it this way. You could have an amazing racehorse, but if you have a 373-pound jockey sitting on top of your racehorse.
Right.
Yeah. Guess which racehorse isn't probably even going to make it around the track.
It's really good at analogies, which I love. And just painting this picture, if you listen to us on radio, you can just see this, right?
Yeah.
You can see this dude on top of this horse.
Yeah. It's like the Kentucky Derby. I was watching the Kentucky Derby, this last year, and my girlfriend was like, to look at these little jockeys, they're so tiny. And I'm like, there's a reason. They want them as light as possible on top of that racehorse.
Why do you think they drill holes into the pedals of race cars? Because you're trying to shave every ounce that you can get.
Oh, really? Is that true?
No, it's just to look cool, probably. Anyway, it
does look pretty cool.
It does look cool. So, and then real quick before we break, you've got not only the fees and stuff, but then you got other things to think about, whether it's home costs, maintaining your home after retirement, rising healthcare cost, inflation, what's going to happen. So there's a lot to think about, not only in fees and in the management portion of your portfolio, but then just the expenses of living and how those are going to impact everything as well. So if folks want to get in touch with you, sit down, make sure that they don't look like a bad Yelp review with a 1 star. We want to get you to 5. How do they get in touch with you?
Got to pick up the phone. You got to take action and give us a call. You've been putting this off a long time. So it's time to get clarity on what's currently going on and making sure we get you on the right course and get you that 5-star retirement plan. So we'll do this free stress test and analysis for you. Pick up the phone, schedule your time to come in. 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. Or simply go to our website at bellaadvisors.com.
And coming in right now on the hot news ticker, I've got questions coming in from you, the listener. We're going to get to some of those when we come back next here on 5-Star Retirement. Welcome back to 5-Star Retirement. I'm Chris Monroe. Patrick Mueller of Bella Advisors with us here, covering a ton of material in a short amount of time as always, and just barely scraping the surface of helping you to really start to stimulate some questions that a lot of people say, I really need to probably take a look at my retirement portfolio and make sure that whether I'm 5 years away or 10 years away or whether I'm 5 years into retirement, where am I at? And where are the red flags, and how can you help me? And we'll, of course, give you all the information on how you can get in touch with Patrick here as we wrap up the show. But a lot of great questions coming in from listeners. We heard from Albert in Alpharetta. What does period certain mean on an annuity contract? The complex language of the contract is tough to understand. A look at payout options, like there is a cutoff age. I don't have a current advisor with the annuity company. So what does period certain mean?
Good question, Albert. I get this one all the time. So a period certain means that, so when you have an annuity, basically what that is you're going to get a guaranteed income stream. So you'll get a guaranteed payment from the insurance company every month, every year for as long as you live. And then the value of whatever, so for an example, if you're working for a company, this kind of works with pensions too, but you give them a lump sum amount of money, and then they're going to guarantee that money to you for the rest of your lifetime at a certain amount. And usually it's at a much higher rate than you should ever be taking it out. But they're going to guarantee that to you. So the fear that a lot of people have is that if they die prematurely, that they're just going to lose all that money that they put in there. So a period certain makes sure that those payments are going to pay out to somebody for a certain period of time. Okay, so it could be, you could take it out for, if you want to pay out for at least 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever that is, but typically the longer length of time you want them to guarantee to pay it out, it's going to be a little lesser amount.
So it really has to do, I guess, with the legacy star. I mean, is that when you're gone, if you suddenly die, you don't want that income to be just taken away like Social Security is when you die. They let them know right away that you're dead.
That's right.
And they take it away. So
well, it's good for your spouse too if you're married, because I'll tell you, one of the biggest growing poverty groups in the country is widowed women. And it's because of stuff like that, where somebody takes out the highest payment, there's no survivorship benefit left over for the wife. The survivor only gets the higher of the 2 Social Security benefits. So there's this huge loss of income. So you want to make sure that surviving spouse, so all you spouses that are not paying attention to the finances, you want to ask your spouse if they have taking care of the finances, is if something happens to them, how much money are you going to still be getting in?
And I think it's important too, Patrick, that no matter whoever is the financial person in the household, make sure that your spouse has an accessible spreadsheet, legal, where everything is and how to deal with it, because I can guarantee you probably have a lot of people that come in, they have no idea what's going on.
No clue. So I have this happening. I mean, probably, a couple times a month, I've got a widow that's coming in that has got a big stack of stuff, has no idea what's happening, because their spouse passed away unexpectedly. And they're like, I have no idea what's going on here. And sometimes I can help, and sometimes I can't because things are just out of my control.
Right. Either they're locked down or you can't, that kind of thing. And and I know it's something that nobody wants to talk about. I mean, it's
not fun stuff.
It's not fun to talk about, but it's
but that's the whole thing. It's like nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody's looking at a plan A scenario like it's Romeo and Juliet, right? That you're both going to pass away at the same time,
or doesn't happen much,
or maybe like a more positive one like The Notebook. I think most ladies like the movie The Notebook.
See, but he liked it too. It's a sensitive side over here.
We're not going to talk about that.
All right. I won't.
Rachel McGowan was hot. We can talk about that.
We can talk about that. Yeah. So. Patricia in Holly Springs says she opened up an IRA years ago before she enrolled in her company's 401k. I now work for a smaller company and am enrolled in that 401k. However, the 401k plan does not match my contributions. Are there any benefits to contributing to my employer's 401k as opposed to my individual Roth IRA? Is there one that I should focus on first?
Focus on the Roth.
Okay.
So the reason being is that the only time you really want to be contributing to a 401k is up to whatever there is they're matching you. So there's kind of 4 types of money. Hopefully this is kind of easy to explain over the radio here. But there's 4 types of money. The best kind of money is free money, right? So you can get that from a lottery, inheritance, or 401k matching, right? So you want to take advantage of that as much as you can because it's free money. So take advantage of as much of that free money as you possibly can. The next best type of money is tax-free money. So that's Roth IRAs, and there's different life insurance accounts that give us tax benefits. And so that's the next place to be putting it. So if you're not putting your money, you're not getting a match in your 401k, the next best place is Roth money, okay? Or structuring a life insurance policy in the right way. And then the next step is tax-deferred money, right, which is your 401ks and IRAs and things of that nature. So when you're putting money into that 401k, you're skipping right past that free money, you're skipping right past the tax-free money of a Roth, and you're going right to that tax-deferred money. And so you want to make sure you're taking advantage of that Roth, because that means go and pay the taxes now, right? Don't defer paying the taxes. Where taxes are on sale right now.
And you're paying.
Sounds weird, but
it is, and you're paying at whatever your rate is now,
right?
As opposed to later on, it could be higher. And as you've said before, you're locked in at that.
Could be higher, and who knows what's going to happen with tax rates with the incredible spending that's going on with our government.
Oh no, they're miserly. They penny pinch every. Yeah, right.
They penny pinch everything out of your pocket.
Yeah, yes, they do. Yes, they do. Thank you, Patricia, and thank you for listening. Tom and Conyers, I'm 64 and just started a new job this year. Should I even bother to sign up for the new company's 401k plan, or at this age, should I just focus on something else?
He was at what age?
64.
So 64, I mean, if you're still working, again, if they are matching you on your 401k, then yeah, take advantage of that because that's free money. But other than that, you want to be going ahead and paying the taxes now. See, actually, if they have a Roth 401k option, a lot of times there's a Roth 401k option that you should be using, and most people don't even realize that is available to you. But pay the taxes now. You're going to have to pay them at some point, and you don't want that problem compounding on you. Even if your tax rate is lower when after you retire, it can still make sense to do that.
So really, you're just in a Roth. You're paying it with after-tax net income.
Right.
So you don't get a tax bill or anything at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's just as it grows, right?
Okay.
For the rest of your lifetime, you're never going to have to pay tax on that money again.
That's a pretty good, that seems like, yeah.
It's a good deal. So people want to be taking advantage of that now because it becomes people's number one asset, their biggest asset when they retire, but it's all tax-deferred income. It's like a time bomb just waiting to happen.
That's something to think about.
Tax time bomb. We don't want you to have a tax time bomb.
No tax time bomb. Ryan in Roswell says, my wife has been retired from the workforce for 8 years, and the two of us have approximately $750,000 in assets and no debt. Our combined Social Security benefits today would be more than adequate to sustain our current lifestyle. Is there any point in waiting an additional 3 years to retire at full retirement age if I can comfortably live off Social Security benefits now?
It can make a lot of sense because each year that you deferred, you get an 8% increase in that lifetime income. So if you're currently working, it sounded like he was currently working, but his wife had been retired for about 8 years now. So if he's okay with working for the next 3 years, I mean, maybe she could file on half of his benefits right now. And if he's at full retirement age, she could actually file on half of his once he's full retirement age. And then he could turn on his full benefits at age 70, and she could do the same thing. So there are strategies like that are out there that people don't realize that are out there. And it's so important to be talking to somebody about that because otherwise you're leaving a whole lot of money on the table. Just like I had this one client I was talking to this morning, and she didn't realize that she had a spousal benefit available to her from her ex-husband, who she'd been married to for over 10 years. You're already married 10 years, then she's entitled to half of his benefits. So she now has a check coming in that just started coming in for $2,000 a month, which is helping her a lot because she's having trouble finding a job right now.
Yeah.
So
That's and you said how many ways is there to take Social Security?
I want to say the accurate is 591 different ways. If you're a couple between ages 62 and 70, 591 different ways you can file.
Remember the
for
old
your Social
Paul
Security.
Simon song, 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover? 591 ways to take Social Security.
I don't think that's going to be a number one hit.
It's probably not, especially with me singing.
It's a great
So,
song.
Barbara in Smyrna says, I'm retiring from the federal government this year at the end of 2019, and my spouse is retiring at the same time. Our savings are comprised of thrift savings plan, which is the 403B, I guess, essentially the 401k.
Same thing, just with the government plan.
And we also have shared money outside of the workplace savings and Roth IRA, Roth retirement accounts, taxable investment accounts, and taxable mutual funds. Who should I consult to ensure my drawdown strategy is optimized to minimize taxes? And I would say I can answer that for you. It would be this guy right here.
Oh my goodness! Sometimes you impress me.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, she set me up with this. So great. So you need to get in and you've got all these different pieces. You got taxable here and untaxed and all these, shells and you help people sift this into something
that's exactly what we do is we kind of wrangle up everything that's going on, all these different accounts that you have and taking a look at the different streams of income that you can turn on in the future. And then we start putting that plan together. So that's what we call a structured income plan, where that's the first piece to the 5-star retirement plan we got to have in place is how are we going to replace your paycheck? So when is the best time to turn on Social Security? When's the best time to turn on the pension? And then all these different investment accounts that you have out there, what's the best way to structure these things for you to replace your paycheck when you're retired? So that's exactly what we do. And then we go through the strategies with you of the different ways that we can put that plan together.
A lot of great questions as always, Patrick, but I know a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers have probably formulated a ton of questions right now just for their own. They need to get in and see you, make an appointment, go up to Roswell, and how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, and it's so fun, going through this. Just like the show, it always flies by.
Yeah, it does.
We make it a lot of fun, too, going through this whole process. So it's not going to be like super boring or super complicated. We try to take the complex stuff and make it super simple. So you just got to pick up the phone, give us a call, schedule the time to come in, 770-545-8881. Again, that's 770-545-8881. Schedule a time to come in for a visit. We're going to do a free stress test and analysis for you. We'll see where you're at on your 5-star retirement plan. How many stars do you currently have? Do you have 1 star? Do you have a 5-star plan? And we'll shoot you straight, but you got to get clarity on what's currently going on and don't put it off. Give us a call, 770-545-8881, and I can't wait to meet you.
Yeah, and great to be with you as always, Patrick.
Likewise.
Another great show.
Yeah.
Look, you worked a long time to save and invest your money. Don't waste it. Make sure that your retirement is a 5-star retirement. For Patrick Mueller, I'm Chris Monroe. We'll see you next time.